everyone, welcome back to Eclectic. Hello. Let's talk about that thing you did that you regret while you were with a narcissist, or that thing you did that you regret that you did it in spite of knowing that it wasn't right and that it was wrong, or that thing you did that was bad for you but you still did it while in a relationship with an abusive partner, or in a cult, or in a work situation, or with a friend that is narcissistic. And for that, today I came up with the Overton Window. Can you see it? Overton Window. This is a way Joseph Overton explained how new ideas become acceptable when they are not. For example, I'm going to, be not politically correct today, and I'm going to say, for example, gender policies that we're seeing, especially in the US, where children are being administered hormones in order to change their gender. So this is, if you ask me, unthinkable, radical, unacceptable, right? Why? Because biologically we are either male or female. There's a lot of science that backs this up, right? DNA and stuff. If you see a person that has problems with how they perceive themselves, to me, this needs psychotherapy. So, but to think that nowadays there are even policies, right here. It's acceptable. It's popular. It's sensible. There are even laws that protect this craziness. To think that this is happening, I had to understand why this was happening. So I came across this thing, this manipulation called the Overton Window, where think tanks use this model to bring new ideas. Sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad for people. One example of a good idea, I think, it's homeschooling, for example. This was introduced through a specific campaign they did, Machina something, that's the name, where they did it on purpose, right? And they tried to introduce that idea, and they did, and it worked. But then when it comes to gender and all that, this is the work of decades. It has been introduced through the feminism, which had a good start. It's great, good movement, But the first wave was great, but then I believe psychopaths entered the movement and started to implode it, right? To destroy it from within, and then with different agendas, and then well-intentioned feminists were, let's not talk about this. Why am I talking about this on YouTube? So when it comes to narcissism and psychopathy, this thing happens, the same thing. So this might explain why you did that thing that you didn't want to do, right? Why you did that. There's a method to this. So this method think tanks use, usually they use the media, movies, Hollywood, TV, people that are charismatic, and all that, right? But then there are a few things that are very specific. For example, they insist. The art of insisting on a subject. Have you been through that? Has a narcissist done that to you, where they insist on this topic that you have to do? And then you give in, and then you do it to keep the peace, maybe. Big mistake, but you do that. That's why, maybe, one reason you did that. Then Another way is they propose ideas that, this is Overton's window, right? This is another way. They propose like a radical thing that it's completely unthinkable, that you would never do, like for example, rob a bank. And then, yeah, let's go rob a bank, right? And then you say, no, are you crazy? Why would I do that? I would never do that. Okay, then you won't rob a bank, so then let's forge this document, okay? And then you say, oh, okay, so it's not as big, so no, but, and then you forge a document, for example. Things like that. Or people that have recovered from addictions, and then the partner says, you know, brings up the idea of going back to consuming certain drugs or alcohol, whatever the addiction is to, and things like that, right? Then persuasion, gradual, like I described manipulation technique in the past, where I talk about a drop of water that makes a hole in a stone, for example, in stone, and this is similar, gradual, like 30-40 years. It's done on purpose. It can be very evil, like the example I gave you about gender, transgender. Whereas if I say something, I'm sure somebody will say I'm homophobic or something, or, you know, old school or whatever. This is crazy that we're discussing these things. It's like saying, you know, this is not white, this is green. Why? Because I say so. Oh, so I say this is green. Okay, so you say this is green, so we'll make everything so that other people perceive this as green, where instead of, I need help, I need to go to a psychotherapist and get help. So anyways, that's all I'm saying for today. I hope this was useful and helped you see how maybe if you did something that you didn't want to do, you felt you didn't, your values were like the opposite of that, but you still did it, maybe this will help explain why. Okay? I hope this is helpful. I will see you in my next video. Bye bye. Ciao desde Argentina.